Oh my goodness, it's hot. It's humid and I'm packing, he said from Zetstersley. Well, husband just heard about 2 hours ago that we need to go on a road trip. He needs to go to a site inspection tomorrow. That will be in East London. It's about 3 hours drive from here. So we've decided we're going to leave tomorrow morning early, then sleep over, and usually our sleepovers isn't one night. It's either 2 nights or 3 nights or whatever, because you got to find the joy in whatever you need to do. So I always say, when we go on a trip where he needs to work, I always say we go on a workshop. We're going for a workshop where he's working and I'm shopping. But now another thing, I really don't shop, buy lots of things. I love buying food and stuff to eat and wherever we go. But further, I buy with my eyes. I take photos. I look. I cannot drive. I mean, I can drive, but I don't enjoy driving when we're on a trip because I want to be able to take photos. He's so used to me, and that is so funny. We've been together for more than 40 years. So he knows when he's driving and he sees a little dilapidated building or something coming up, he'll say, Izette, look at your left. Do you want to stop or get your camera ready? And that's how we roll. He knows what makes me happy, and he just willing to stop wherever I want to stop, take photos. So we drive for hours on a short little trip. But that's the awesome thing of learning to be content in every situation. It's a learning. It doesn't come easily. I mean, when we got married or together years ago, he was a very structured person. You know, when something out of place happens, he was totally confused and out of his comfort zone. Now he has learned. So just like I'm learning, you know, go with the flow. That is the biggest thing. If you want to experience peace and joy in the midst of any situation, you need to learn to go with the flow of what is happening. That is the only control that we actually have, is our reaction to things happening. And then that's how we create a beautiful or terrible life. Because life happens. Situations happen. What you really cannot expect. I mean, this morning, knock, knock, knock on the door. My garden man, he rocked up a day earlier. He was supposed to come tomorrow. So immediately, whoops, my whole day changed. So we immediately went into the garden, pruning, compost heaps. I've got too much compost. Can you believe it? My compost heaps, I've got 4 big bins that we made from pallets. They overflowing. It is just chaotic out there. I've got too much compost. That's why my garden is so beautiful. It's all the compost. We doesn't take anything off of this property from the garden. Everything get into my compost heap. So yes, I've got a little bit of challenge. Too much compost. So I was in the garden. You can see sweating, working, taking out plants for my friend. She's coming to collect it. And once again, I could have been upset. He's a day early, or go with the flow, use him. He is here now. And while we were actually working down at the compost heaps, hubby came closer and he said, Izette, come, I need to talk to you. I thought, oh my gosh, what happened now? So when I got in to the house, he said, no, a client phoned, he needs to be in East London tomorrow. Now what now? I said, I always go with, if I can, and we usually make a plan. Because as I say, he can drive there, go to the site, drive back, and it's hard, you know, it's hard, it's work, whatever. Or I can go with and we can make it a wonderful trip. So if you're on my Facebook and Instagram, you will think we are permanently on holiday. We haven't stopped working yet. But everywhere we go, we make it a breakaway, a holiday. We find the joy inside our things that we have to do. Like he needs to go on this trip. So immediately I said, listen, it's going to be a little bit easier. Let's get up early tomorrow morning, then start travel. And then you can go to the site inspection and we can sleep over in East London, and then we're going to decide what our next step's going to be. So immediately we did that, and now I'm here in my very, very hot workspace, and I am packing. So what is the first thing on my list to pack for my 2-3 night trip? It's my art supplies. I'm going nowhere. First of all, I take my phone, because of my camera. So my camera will be in, and then my sketchbook, my little bag full of pens and pencils and whatnot, glue, I don't know what I'm gonna do, feel like creating. Then it's my little tin of watercolors. So these are the things that I definitely gonna take with. And then remember 2 videos back or something that I made telling you what are we gonna do with all the things we create. So I had the plan to put them into these flip files. Well, guess what? I didn't get very far, because then I realized I actually need a flip file, because most of my paintings was already inside those flip file things that you need to put in a ring binder. So now I need to go and find a nice one at the charity shop whenever I go there again. So but now I need to, because as I told you previously, I take some of my paintings with, because I never know if people want to, when I do, we usually start talking and what do you do? And then I say, yeah, I'm an artist or a creator or whatever you call it. And then they usually say, but what do you paint? Or, and then I say, oh, let me show you. Then I take out my paintings. That will be in this thing. That is what I now actually need to do now. So, and mostly, as I told you, whenever I make a real connection to a place or to a person, I bless them with one of my artworks, because it feels as they've given me so much, so I just give back. Give what you have. That is the awesome thing. We've received so many things that all we need to do is give what we have received. Now, I didn't plan this. So my son, 20 years back, he left school, went on a mission trip around the world, and when he came to China, now we are South Africans, very Afrikaans, South Africans. He just finished school, did very well, so he was actually on his way to university. But first he decided to go on a mission trip around the world. So there he went. That was a miracle on its own, because he from birth, he was very scared of new things. But all of a sudden, he got the desire to go on this trip. And it was just plain sailing. I mean, he did it. I was absolutely shocked. It was a miracle. Really, for him to just, I'm ready, I'm going, I'm leaving you for a year. I'm going with people that I've never seen before, taking a trip to, I don't know how many countries they went to, and he left. Then on the trip, they landed in China, and he fell in love with China, and he came back after a year, and he said, Mom, Dad, that's my place. I need to go there. So at the end, years later, next year or what, he went to China, and there he met his wife-to-be, Jenny. Oh my goodness, my daughter-in-law now, she is just the most precious thing ever. So they got married, and it was amazing, but they got married at our house. My dog sitter just came in, but I'm going to ignore them. And but he said, you know, Mom, no, she's fine with it. We're going to go get married in your house at the beach. We live very close to the beach. But at that stage, we really didn't have any money. Let me tell you, nothing. So I was on the beach, and I talked to, as I say, my spiritual father, the life in me, and I said, oh, well, there's no ways that I can do this. It's just, I don't know how we're going to do it. How are we going to pay for a wedding? And it just came up, very sweet, still voice, you know. Don't worry, I will show you. And man, oh man, that was absolutely amazing. So, for example, at one art workshop I was facilitating, I told them, oh, my kid's now getting married and it's going to be in the house. Then one woman said, would you like me to help? I do. She was a teacher. I make weddings beautiful. What do you call it? I will do it. I said, Judy, it will be fantastic, but how much will it cost? She said, nothing, man, nothing. Just bring them when they land, when they fly. Bring them to my house. They're going to decide what color, what they want. We will come and we will make the tent beautiful. Now, the tent was another story. We were talking about it, and the next, someone said, but what if the wind blows? Where's all the people going to sit? I said, I have no idea, didn't think so far. And they said, but don't worry, our school got an old army tent, so just ask the principal. So I phoned up, he said, Izette, it will be a pleasure. Do you need tables and chairs? I said, oh my goodness, can I come back to you? We need to come and fetch the things. He said, no, we will bring it. Just say when. My goodness. And how many tables and chairs do you want? I said, okay, let's say 10 tables, 50 chairs. They came the day before the wedding. Put up the tent, the tables, everything. My friend came. She made that thing so beautiful you could not believe it, the tent, the old army tent. So everybody gave what they already had. My one sister-in-law, she did a course in makeup for brides. So they came down for the wedding. She made my daughter-in-law the most beautiful bride you've ever seen. The one person, friend of ours, he was in the management of a car company, motor car company. And he just asked Jenny, what car would you like? He was a Mercedes-Benz. He was in that factory or whatever you call it, shop. And which one do you want? I mean, so he just came, drove the wedding car. She was in the most expensive, most beautiful, smartest Mercedes-Benz that I've ever been in. So that is how it happens. It cost us next to nothing. The young people that came, that went around the world with my son, they came. Some of them came early, so they just rocked up and they just helped. The garden was magnificent. Friend of ours down the road, he said, Izette, there's my house. use my house. That your family and the young ones that came, they can go and sleep there. And the life in me showed me that fear not. And everybody that gave something of themselves that they already had felt so blessed. It was an absolute blessing for them to give what they had and to just be part of our kids' most beautiful wedding. We all walked to the beach. They had this beautiful wedding and walked back, and we had a big barbecue, and my other son and her husband's brother, one of the brothers barbecued. My friends that came, they brought salads and breads. It was absolutely gorgeous. The whole wedding was, even their holiday afterwards. One of the uncles, they have a timeshare, and they just said, pick your spot. A week or a couple of days, I think it was a week, wherever you want to go on our timeshare. Things like that. So once again, why do we fear? Just go with the flow and watch and see what the abundant life in all of us will do. And then life becomes an adventure. Not you trying to actually work against the life, because things happen. We immediately judge it as good or bad. When it's bad, we want to go against it because we don't like it. That's not how it's supposed to be. And there becomes this war inside of us. And when we learn to walk with the life in us and we just go with the flow of what's happening, life becomes a wonderful adventure. So yes, I'm going on an adventure. I am taking my precious art supplies, and we're going to see what's going to happen. And people always tell me, when I go to Thailand, India, wherever we went, they always say, oh, just into town here. We're in a third world country, so you can imagine how it looks at places. Look at some areas. They always say, but it is the most beautiful places that you go to. I said, no. If you go there to some of these places, you will run away. Because some of them are really very dirty, dilapidated, terrible. But I've learned to look for the beauty in those places, in the midst. And I cut and I paste my photos and I share the beauty, because that is what it's all about. I am going with, because I've learned this, I am going with the absolute excitement of finding beauty on my way, in the midst of wherever we're going, and whatever happens, because lots of times things happen on these trips that's not very comfortable. But I am learning to go with the flow, accept every moment. I read somewhere, learn to accept every moment as if you have chosen it. Why? Because then there's no war inside of you. That's where peace comes from. Things happen. You judge it. When you judge it as wrong, there comes friction, and immediately you start to fight against the life in you. The ego against the life. That is what the Bible and everything is all about. That war. And what do you see in this realm when you are at war with whatever is happening in your life that you disagree with? You see war all around you. When you are not peaceful because you are angry, resentful about, oh, my garden man rocked up this morning, now my whole day I had all these other things planned, now I cannot do it. blah, blah, blah. Can you see? Immediately I create friction. This is what happened. Deal with it, accept it, or ask him nicely, sorry, it doesn't suit me today, I will see you another time. But the immediate, when we react negatively against the situation, that's when we create war inside ourselves. And then we will see war all around us. I have no idea how I got to this topic, but thank you that I can share my life with you. So my plan was to tell you that all of us, even if you are not an artist, need to start a little journal, a little sketchbook. The only one that cannot draw, I read that this morning, the only person, you don't draw because you can't. You can't because you don't draw. Isn't that awesome? Because I was always saying, I cannot draw, you know. But I didn't do it because I believed I couldn't. And then I got a little sketchbook and I was just starting to play. And now I am absolutely improving. And it is amazing. So we don't need a sketchbook or a journal because of that. We need this to become still, because why we create, our minds become still. The war becomes freedom, and that's why we need a journal. But I've planned that I'm gonna do a little couple of videos on starting a journal, a sketchbook, with where you are in your journey and with what you have. If you are a seamstress, you use things that you work with and you just glue them and write and just make this your little diary thing, you know, just share what speaks to you, and you just share it in your little book. And in that 10 minutes, 5 minutes, half an hour, you just become still. So let's say you're a gardener and you pick up a beautiful leaf. You can come and you glue it in your book and you write whatever you feel like. And that's how you start to become peaceful, to experience peace and joy in the midst of whatever craziness is going on in your life. So that was my plan, to do the first video on that before I got the news that we are going on a trip. So that changed a little bit. So now I need to pack. My garden man I need to organize. So let's see where this will lead. Thank you that I can share my journey. Thank you to all my new subscribers, friends. I don't know where you're coming from, but thank you so much for joining and liking and talking to me. I love it when you tell me more about you and your struggles and your joys, because this is why I am here, sharing the life in me with the life in you, because we've got the same life, and that life is unconditional love. Isn't that just amazing? And that life in us will always lead us the way that will lead to healing and deliverance and provision and whatever we may need to become free and whole and peaceful and grow to that point where the life in us, who is unconditional love, can just flow freely and mightily through us. So whatever happens to us, it's to get us to that point of total peace and joy, experiencing total peace and joy in the midst of anything that we may encounter in this realm. Peace and joy and just the unconditional love that we truly are. Love you lots. Is dit from Zetstersle.